Hi, my name is Christina and I am a third year student at Bunka Fashion College in Tokyo, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about what it's like to enroll in fashion school in Japan. I had been going to Japanese language school in Tokyo for about 6 or 7 months when I started thinking about what I was going to be doing once I was finished with school. So the two options really were, do I get a job or do I continue school? And for both of those options, there was also the added options of, do I do this in Japan or do I go back home? So I went to this kind of school fair that my language school was offering. There are different kinds of schools and universities and stuff like that that had come to talk to the students. So like there were a bunch of like little booths and stuff like that, and you could actually talk to somebody from these schools. And one of the schools that was there was actually Bunka. I mean, I had always liked Japanese street fashion. I was really interested in that kind of stuff, but I didn't think I would ever actually study it. But then I talked to the guy anyway, just for fun, and I got a bunch of pamphlets and stuff. And I thought it sounded really cool, but I wasn't sure again, like if I could afford it. I didn't actually apply for a while. So at this point in time, I was moving from my dorm to a guest house. And so I had to go through all of my stuff that I had in my room and throw stuff out and keep stuff and pack stuff. I didn't pack the pamphlets I'd got from Bunka with everybody else, with all my other stuff, because I wasn't sure if I needed them, so I'd left them with a friend for a while. I moved and I found the pamphlets again and I said, these look really cool. So I started looking at them again, and I actually already missed the first deadline for applications. So like schools that are probably in your area as well, you can't just apply to a school anytime during the year. There's always specific deadlines you have to meet if you want to apply for a certain semester. In the West, often you have the option of starting a program in like the fall semester or like the winter semester or whatever. Sometimes there's more than one semester you can start at, but in Japan, usually that is not an option. Usually all schools start in April because that's the beginning of the school year. So that being said, application periods are also in accordance to that. Language school is different though, just to go back to that. Language school, because there are multiple semesters throughout the year, depending on the school, they might accept people all year round for different times and stuff. That really depends on the school, so I can't speak for everyone. But for Bunka, the first application day I think was probably in September or October or something like that, and I didn't make it for that one, actually. I ended up applying for the second application, which I think was in November. What you have to do to apply is like, it sounds really simple, but it's an application form, plus a whole lot of documentation. Because I was already in Japan and I had gone to that school fair, they had given me an application form in like a booklet. They give me a lot of pamphlets and a lot of information, and one of the things was an application form inside of it. But if you're living abroad and you're trying to apply from abroad, there's something on their site about that. I'm not too sure about it. But it might be a little bit more complicated, but it's still absolutely doable. The application will tell you everything that you need, that you have to do, and it's doable if you're ready to sit down and work and get through everything and plow through everything. It's completely doable. It just takes some time. And the application that you will be receiving will be in Japanese, so everything you have to fill out will be in Japanese, and documentation will have to be provided either in English or in Japanese. So if you're from a country that your documentation will be in another language, it also has to be translated professionally into either English or Japanese. So in my case, actually, because I'm from Montreal, some of my documentation was only in French, and that had to get translated into English before we were able to submit it. You can keep that in mind, because in terms of due dates, translations also do take time as well, just so that that one document doesn't ruin your whole application and then you have to wait a whole other year to apply. Just make sure you kind of get that done ahead of time. Because my mother tongue is English, and because I was going to be studying in Japanese, I was checking only the English and the Japanese sites. But there are also Chinese and Korean sites as well for Bunka, which means that it might be possible to maybe submit things in Chinese or Korean, but I really don't know. So if either that applies to you, if you speak either Korean or Chinese better than English, by all means check out the sites. You might find out information that I don't know. One thing that is really important actually is that it has to be submitted in person. So once you've submitted your application, the next thing you have to do is you have to go in for a written exam and for an interview. So pretty much what they want to know is how interested you are in studying fashion and what level your Japanese is. They just want to get to know you. What you should remember is that all this is conducted in Japanese, so the exams are in Japanese, the interviews in Japanese. I mean, mine wasn't perfect when I went in, it's still not perfect, but even if it's not perfect, doesn't mean that you can't try and doesn't mean you're not necessarily going to get in. Again, it's more to get to know you, get to know if you're going to be a good candidate for them, for their school. So a few weeks after taking the exam and the interview and everything, I got a letter in the mail saying that I had been accepted to the school, which was really exciting and I was super happy about that. But then that meant I had to kind of figure out how I was going to afford everything. It's a commitment, I'm not going to lie. So Bunka Fashion College is the top fashion school in Japan and one of the top fashion schools in the world. Like the top school in anything, going to Bunka isn't the cheapest thing in the world, but I mean, it's worth consideration anyway if you really are serious about doing fashion college. I'm not going to go into any detail as to how much it actually costs because each program costs a different amount. And if you look on their website, it actually is all written down as to what costs what. If you really are serious about fashion school, I do think you should consider at least looking at it and seeing if it is possible for you. So I keep just saying Bunka, Bunka, Bunka. There's actually a bunch of different schools at Bunka. So, I mean, I go to Bunka Fashion College, but there's also a Bunka University, a Bunka grad school, a language school. Anyway, there's a bunch of different schools available. So, for example, if you've already graduated university and you want to do a graduate program, you want to get a master's degree in this kind of stuff, it's doable at Bunka. So, like I said, Bunka has a bunch of different schools and a bunch of different programs. But with the exception of one, which I'll talk about in a minute, everything is only taught in Japanese. All classes are only in Japanese, so you cannot take them in English. But at the grad school, there is a new course that has been developed a few years ago, which is taught in English. So I don't know too much about it because it is a very new program. But if you are interested in doing graduate school in fashion in Japan, I would suggest checking out their website to see what is required and what kind of programs are actually available. So a lot of people think you have to already know a lot about fashion in order to get into Bunka or any other kind of fashion school. The thing is that, at least at the fashion college part, a lot of people are going straight out of high school. Realistically speaking, most people do not know that much about fashion, but they like it. And that's a really important thing, is that you like it and you have an interest in it. But you don't have to know that much about it yet. You don't have to know how to make things yet. You don't have to know too much because they'll teach you from very beginning, very basic things, how to draw patterns or the history of fashion or all kinds of things that are really good for you to know, really essential for you to know. You'll learn them at school. So they don't expect you to have prior knowledge, but they do expect you to have interest and a want to actually do everything. Like I said, most students will be coming straight out of high school into Bunka, but you have to keep in mind that those are the Japanese students that are coming straight from high school. Most foreign students will have, at the very least, gone to Japanese language school after high school, so like most of the foreign students will be at least 20, if not older, when they start. In my case, I had already graduated university and done over a year in language school. When I started at Bunka, I was already in my 20s. A lot of people will be. I mean, like, in any sort of post-secondary education, I think there'll be like different ages of people, and Bunka is no different. So if you're a little bit older and you're interested anyway, and you're like, oh, but is everybody gonna be like 18? Am I not gonna fit in? I mean, a lot of people might be 18, but I mean, you'll have people in their 20s as well. In my class, I think we have over a 10-year age range and we're only 17 people. But I mean, there's all kinds of people there, so don't worry about that kind of thing if that's a concern for you. That's pretty much the short version of how I ended up enrolling and getting into Bunka. So in my next episode, I'll talk to you guys more about actually starting classes and what it's actually like to go to school at Bunka in Japan. So if you have any other questions about enrollment or anything, let me know in the comments or on Instagram or on Twitter. So thank you so much for all of your super nice comments and for following me on Twitter and Instagram and Tumblr and everything. It makes me super happy. See you next time. Bye bye.